right. So to start, I want to do a meditative doodle with you. And it's a way for us to warm up and kind of get into the zone of our creativity before we make our bookmarks and our postcards. I have a little piece of scrap paper, and I'm just going to begin with the scrap paper and a little ballpoint pen. So honestly, this is the minimal amount of supplies you would need for this, which is wonderful. And I'm going to set up a, a little frame, and I'm going to keep it in a more organic style. So I've got 4 points, one in each corner. And then I'm just going to connect them. And I'm not trying to have them be perfect. And I'm keeping my pen and my hand loose. I don't want to have any tension in my hand or wrist, keeping it nice and loose. So you have this sweet little organic frame. And then I'm going to come inside of this little frame I've made, and I'm going to make some spheres. And I'm going to vary the sizes. And I'm going to go over them a couple times. Just enjoying the feeling of the pen on the paper and the circular movement of the pen. And I always like to encourage you to remember that you need to be breathing and relaxing. No tension in your shoulders. Keep them loose. All right, from this sphere, I'm going to create some petally shapes, and I'm going to let them scooch out of the border even, just breaking the border. Very loose. And then I'm going to come back into the spheres and make smaller spheres. After that, I'm going to come back up into these petals, and I'm just going to divide them. I'm not worried if they're perfectly split in half. I'm just creating some more interest. And feel free to rotate your paper as you go. You don't have to keep it in one position. And we're creating some fun, textury, little feathery spheres. And you have the option to create any shape in this warm-up that you desire. There's no rules. Kind of start to release your imagination. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create some shapes in between. And I'm going to keep them, again, very organic. Just sort of filling up the spaces in between our spheres. Varying the sizes. And you can break out through your border, which is always kind of cool. You might just start to notice that you're getting into the zone now. Feeling more centered. Noticing a sense of meditation and focus. There is some cool neuroscience that says when we use our hands in a way that is creative, it actually releases happy chemicals in our brain. So you can't beat that. Feel free to take a sip of your coffee or your tea that you've poured for yourself and have a look at what you've created so far. Or you can just continue to engage in the practice and start to let yourself create shapes that make you happy or just come intuitively to you. Filling in the spaces. And remembering to breathe. Keep your shoulders soft and your wrist light. No tension. Remember, we're not doing a math problem. We're making some fun, doodly, organic shapes. Now, if you have some color near you and you want to expand a little bit, please, you have the option to do that. I'm going to continue going in a monochromatic way, and I'm going to add some value simply by starting with more pressure. Sorry if my camera's shaking, I'm better lighten up a little. And then lightening the pressure till it almost disappears. So we're going from a darker value, lightening the pressure. Feel free to turn your paper. And you can see how much mileage you can get from just one color. And I hope you're enjoying the sound of your pen or pencil on the paper. Very soothing to me. All right, so we've created shapes and we've introduced some value and some variation. I'm just going to continue to work a little bit more into the area behind my shapes. And like I said, if you're ready to add some color, you have that option. And working back into some of these previous shapes with a little more value. I think everybody's probably experiencing that secret, magical, silent space that you get into as you're making some lovely art for yourself this morning. So this is our warm up. And I would encourage you to have a look. I would like you to give your signature or maybe initial right in the corner. And you could also write on the back some words of intention that you have for this morning, or maybe some thoughts that have come up as you are doodling. And feel free to write those on the back as a note to yourself. Okay, I know that some of you may be in the zone and you may not want to leave this particular part of our practice together, and that's okay. You can go ahead and keep moving along, but for the sake of time, I'm going to step away from this and I'm going to introduce our bookmark. Some of you like to read on cloudy, rainy Saturdays when you're cozied up on your couch with your book. And maybe this will be something that you will enjoy. There we go. There. Move my coffee out of the way after I have a sip. Feel free to share in the chat some of the things that you've noticed as you are engaging in your doodle. Okay, so I have just some watercolor paper that I cut into like a 2-inch by like maybe 7-inch strip. And I did send along some PDFs because a lot of you prefer a starting point. So feel free to use those. And I thought it might be fun since it is autumn to have some little pumpkins, but you can, draw whatever you so desire. This is your practice. So what I did was the PDF that I included, I just took a dark pencil and I colored the back of it. And you can do that on all 3 of them if you like. And this makes a transfer. So if you want to have a cool way to place the art, if you don't want to just draw it freehand, you can use these as your guide. And go ahead and start placing these pumpkins. And I'm just going to use my ballpoint pen. You could use a pencil, anything you have handy. Maybe you want to draw more doodles, or you want to do a little floral, maybe a sunflower. So I'm just giving some pressure so that this will transfer over onto the actual bookmark paper. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and do this one here. This little guy's a little too big, so I think I'm gonna just add one more down here of this guy. And I'll go in this direction. So just have a little repeated pattern of pumpkins. All right, and you can see that okay. Camera, its position. I want to go this way. There you go. So there's several options, but today I'm going to show you a watercolor wash, and I'm going to use a lovely orange, and this is just school grade basic watercolors, the old prang paints that we use in the classroom, and I'm going to just make a nice wash right over these guys, these little pumpkins, very loose. Nice little wash. Please feel free to ask any questions as we go along in the chat. And once you have that, you could add another color, or you might want to go with a little deeper orange. Letting it kind of bleed into the wetness underneath. Gives a cool effect. Now this is wet, so what we can do is we can set this aside and we can start the postcard. There's no rush, so keep going, keep doing what you're doing. I love to work on a couple paintings or drawings at the same time. Sometimes it just helps to get me out of my head and not thinking too much and just keep more playful and more childlike. So I'm going to introduce the size, and this is great for a postcard. You can have it go horizontal or vertical. And we'll go ahead and I'll demonstrate the wash background for the postcard. And this time I'm going to use blue. I love the blue skies of autumn. They just have that piercing turquoise. I absolutely love it. So it's really a wash, no rhyme or reason, just moving and smooching. And then I'm coming back in with a little more intense blue, letting that sort of bloom out into the wetness underneath. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to go with the vertical on this. I like that. I'm just going to put this here so you can see these washes. And this should dry pretty fast, but if it doesn't, you can always use your blow dryer and give it a little blowout so that if you would like to keep going, um, you have a dry background. Mine seems to have dried. I'll give you a minute to get your backgrounds done. I'm going to go back over my pumpkins. I'm going to use a colored pencil. We're going to experiment with some mixed media. We've got a nice watercolor wash and some colored pencil together. I think I'll change up the colors of the outlines as I go along. It's red this time. And nice green. Sky is the limit. There's no rules when it comes to color choices. You cannot mess up. The choices are all yours. So this is where you get to play with all the supplies that you probably have sitting next to you. Um, I'm going to use a metallic marker, and I'm going to use one of these Posca white paint markers. I'm just going to add some fun little dots and incorporate them into the splashy background. And I think I'll make some little doodly marks with the gold. Maybe have a look at what you've created so far. It's always kind of nice to step back a little bit and say, what direction would I like to go in next? Do I want to add some more color? Do I want to add a new shape? Some of you might have some sparkle in paints or in gel pens. You can always add that. You could add some words. Maybe one of the words that came to mind as you were initially doodling, you might want to write on your bookmark. Lettering is just another beautiful form of art, especially your own handwriting or printing. It just makes it that much more special. So let me know how you're all doing. And I think my postcard wash is nice and dry now. So I'm going to set this aside and I'll get started on my postcard. I'm going to go ahead and create one of those very organic borders. Rotating my paper so I can make that line. That's imperfect like me. I love imperfections. Got a nice little border going on. And then I'm going to make some fun and funky floral shapes. Nothing realistic, simply doodly floral shapes. And you come up right through the border again. Long stem. Very loose and unplanned, just simple little petally shapes. And I'm going to make another one. And stem. And a leaf. Because I had a little room for one more, I'm going to add a little one here. So I've got my postcard filled with some flowers that are totally make-believe. Never seen a flower like this growing in my garden or anywhere else. And that's good. We're all originals, right? I'll include some value by going back in with some lines on my petals. And some fun little veins on these leaves. And I hope that you are enjoying this moment that is all your own, benefiting from the beautiful centeredness and lighter, inspired feeling you get when you just make time to make art. And focusing on the process, don't worry about the final results. I'm gonna go ahead and do my signature here. And on my little pumpkin bookmark, which I can't wait to put in my new book. It's a great library day. Get you a new book and there's your bookmark. If you like, you could add a piece of string or ribbon, punch a little hole at the top. Some string here. I'm going to put this through. Tie it. And one little fun embellishment I wanted to share with you is you can also take your watercolor and use two brushes. You could take it on second color and do a little splatter painting, which is always fun. And maybe you want to add a couple different colors. Make it a nice, fun background. So again, maybe have a look at what you've created so far. And I hope that you have found that your creative juices are flowing. And I hope that you don't want to stop and that our time is maybe we're running out of time together right now, but you keep going. Um, so there's the postcard. And here's the little bookmark. Put you that in there. And I'm just going to go back into my pumpkins. I'm going to add a little more value. For fun. And blue. This is why I love working on a couple pieces at the same time, because it's just fun to go back and forth. So we have about 5 minutes left. Feel free to put in the chat what you experienced here today in our chillax doodle along. Let me know if you are encouraged and excited about what you created, maybe some new directions that you have in mind. I'd love to hear. And then once your postcard's totally dry, you can just flip it and you can use the template that I sent you. And you could even paste it on the back or just, you could even hand draw it. So you've got the placement for the stamp. I don't know if you can see this, but there we go. Postcard. Area for the stamp. Address. Area for the message. I'm just gonna hand draw mine. No place for my stamp. And then some lines for my message. Oh, you're so welcome, Maureen. I'm glad you were here to join us. Feel free to show your work if you like. It's okay if you don't want to, whatever you're comfortable with. And I don't know, Jordan, if you can, could you post my Lenny Marie Inner Springs Studio Facebook link? And I would love it if you shared what you made today. Take a little photo and share your work. Also, I hope you're encouraged because we were together for an hour and you created 3 lovely pieces of art. Thank you, Jordan. I'll hang around for a couple minutes if you have any questions. I want to respect your time on a Saturday. I know everyone's busy during the week, and Saturday time is so valuable. Green Goddess says this is a beautiful way to send us and spend a Saturday. You have such an inspiring way. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Danielle. This was wonderful. I realized that I have been taking my art too seriously. I need to spend more time relaxing and just having fun. Yeah. It's a precious gift we have, our creativity, and we just need to be intentional, don't we? Britt, I'm so sorry I was delayed in traffic. No worries. I will share this link with those of you that subscribed so you can watch it and make some more fun, chill-axing, doodle along art. I could stay here all day and color with you guys. I hope you'll continue, and I look forward to seeing you again at our next Chillax Doodle Along. It was lovely being with you. Cheers. Bye, everyone.